just the frames. Got keys to kingdom, unlocking chains. Sober the podcast, open up your brains. Sober the podcast, let's get it, man. Yeah.
Welcome back to Season 4 of Sober the Podcast with your host, Bradley Saxon, CJ Carlton.
Yo, what up?
And Steven Sanders, baby.
Hey.
All the way from 6 Mile, South Kakalaki.
Yeah.
How many people know where 6 Mile is, bro?
Right.
But I hate to say I do.
Blink, you'll miss it.
You blink, you miss it, but, I mean, they got some good drugs in 6 Mile.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah. But we try not to use drugs these days, hey?
That's right.
You about to light up?
You about to light up, cuz.
Yeah.
Well, man, we're so excited to continue this journey we're walking as we talk about the 12 steps of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And, you know, who knows? This might take us 25 years at the pace we're going. But, I mean, like we say all the time, the Big Book is a textbook. It's meant to be studied. It's, you know, we believe it's inspired by God. So, therefore, when you read it, you typically, if you read it and continually read it, then there's a lot of times God can speak to you differently where you see things that you didn't see before, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
But before we get into this episode, continuing in step 2, we're going to do our 3-pointer. And today I'm just going to do something random. We usually call people that are trailblazers. But today I'm just going to call a random person.
Okay.
If, you know, they answer the question, then they can come and just pick out whatever merchandise they want.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
The reason for that is because we just opened up our brand new storefront
Yep.
Yeah.
for all of our bridge merch. And so now we can expand this 3-pointer to where random people can win. They can come to our storefront and pick out whatever they want.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and you might have to travel a little while, but I'm pretty excited about this because back in 2017, I was selling shirts out the back of my 4Runner.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? And now we're selling it out of a storefront. So
I was
God
doing fentanyl.
You was doing fentanyl.
Yeah.
Was you
Same.
sober? Yeah,
No,
fentanyl.
not sober.
But God's really blessed the vision and elevated it to a place to where we're able now to have a storefront. And it's located on West Whitner right here where the bridge is. So I'm just going to call a random person. They may not answer. They're not aware that I'm calling them. And so, you know, we're about to find out what's up.
All right.
You got it?
Who you got? Who you calling?
I don't, let's see here. Let's call, well, I had somebody on here, but I don't see their number no more. Let's call Dave Mabe.
Oh, Dave won't answer.
You think?
Yeah.
We're about to find out.
He'll answer unless he's meditating. If he's meditating, he's not going to answer.
Levitating?
Meditating.
Oh, meditating.
Meditating.
Yeah, he may be levitating.
He's on cloud 9.
Come on, Dave Mabe. Now,
Sorry, Mr. Phone Call.
yeah,
Dave,
sorry,
that's
Dave.
tough,
That's
Dave.
tough,
That's
Dave.
tough.
That's tough, Dave.
Yeah.
All right.
You're not going to
We're going to try one more person, and here's the thing. If they don't answer, guess what?
Step 2.
Step 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, step 2. So let me just randomly pick one more person. Oh, he's calling back.
Dave Mabe.
Dang, Dave. Dave Mabe. David Mabe.
Yes, sir.
You live on Sober the Podcast. How you doing?
Really?
Well, as you know, we have a tradition to where we do a 3-pointer. I'm going to randomly ask you a question. If you get it right, CJ's going to shoot some shots. If he makes it, you can come to our new store and pick out whatever merchandise you want.
Let's do it.
You ready?
Yep.
How many pages in the Big Book do we consider the program? So how many pages in the beginning of the book do we call the program?
Are we considered doctor's opinion as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's rough.
Bro.
I know it's 164.
Boom. You got
That's
it.
it.
Come on, Dave.
Good
Mabe.
job, Dave.
Come on,
Good job,
Dave.
Dave.
Mabe. Let's go.
Good job, Dave.
So Dave, way to answer the question right. Now the question is can CJ make it?
Ice in his veins. Let's go, Steve.
He's got 3 shots. He made the
Number
first
one.
one. He made the
Number
first
one.
one,
Let's
Dave.
go.
You are a winner.
Let's go.
And you will be our first person at our storefront on West Whitner Street, 2108. We'll be there all day. Come by and get you merchandise, buddy.
Love you guys.
Congratulations. Have a good day. How about that, dude? I'm going to
Let's
have to
go.
start making it a
That went
little
well.
harder, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, that was too easy.
Yeah. That was
I know
too
what he
easy.
was getting at though. It's 174. That's what he was wondering.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
To be honest with you, it's 103.
It's 103.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But 164 is the answer because that's what we ask our guys
That's
to
right.
read in the beginning. That's what I was asked to read.
That's right.
And so, congratulations, David May.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good job,
On-
Dave. Samuel.
Winning you. That's Samuel?
Yeah, Samuel, dude.
Like out of the Old Testament?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Hey,
He's
Sam-
Old Testament.
Hey, Samuel was a baller.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, Samuel was a baller. Anyway, step 2,
Yeah.
get
came
it.
to believe,
Let's get it.
which are the 3 words I love the most out of the step. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity.
Yes.
And let's just do a recap since we don't even really know where we left off because
Yeah.
it's been weeks since we recorded that. And we've done
Yeah.
some other cool things that's going to be coming out in days that people are going to get to hear
Yeah.
that adds to this journey and to our perspective of what we do is, in recovery. But, step 2 is this simple in a simple way. Step 2 is just a statement of the solution,
Yeah.
Right.
right? It's not really the magic.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, you're just understanding in step 1 the problem is lack of power,
Mm-hmm.
and your understanding in step 2 is that you need power.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Right,
Yeah.
nothing's really been done
Nope.
in this situation. It's really just self knowledge. I have an allergy. I have a mental obsession. I have a spiritual malady that disconnects me from God.
Yeah.
What do I need to overcome? Alcoholism. I need power.
Yeah.
Right, and all they're doing in step 2 is attaching the power to a desired outcome.
Yeah.
What do I need God to do? I
Yeah.
need God to restore me to sanity.
That's right.
Which means I'm crazy.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm crazy. Well, and here's the fun part about step 2. I'm not crazy at everything.
Right.
This is the cool thing about the step work concerning alcoholism.
Yeah.
Is that I'm identifying that I'm crazy concerning alcohol and
That's
drugs.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
a that's
That's
a good
right.
point.
That's right.
That is.
Because there's a lot of people, including ourselves sitting on this couch, that are good in certain areas of our life
Yep.
to where we're able to make rational decisions.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not crazy concerning this or that. Here's
Yeah.
how I often say it is that success in one area of our life doesn't always mean success in the other.
That's right.
That's right.
And so where I have a weakness concerning alcoholism because I can't see the truth in my relationship with it
Yeah.
Yep.
doesn't always mean that I can't see the truth in my relationship with my kids or with
Yeah.
money or with, my time, whatever the
Yeah.
case may be.
Yeah.
But what happens when you overlook your weakness is eventually it begins to bleed through everything you do well.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then you start potentially becoming irrational concerning things at one time you were really good at.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's not because you're not good at it no more, it's because you've overlooked your weakness.
That's it.
That's got to a place to where it dominates everything that
Yeah,
you do.
that's
So what we're saying in step 2 is that the alcoholic concerning alcohol and drugs, or addict concerning drugs, alcoholic concerning alcohol, or alcoholic addict concerning both alcohol and drugs,
Yeah.
cannot see the truth at certain times
Yeah.
right.
that they have an allergy.
Yep. That's
right.
Wouldn't you say that would dumb down the idea of the lie we believe is
Yeah,
typically
absolutely.
this time I won't have an allergy?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can stop when I want to, or I'll just drink beer, not do cocaine,
Yes.
or I'll get these pills and I'll measure them out. We've
That's
talked
right.
about this,
Yeah,
and I'll do
absolutely.
2 every 5 hours,
Yep.
and this
Yeah.
and that, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we believe that lie.
Yep.
We act on it. We run into the truth that we can't stop once we start,
Yeah.
and we're off to the races.
That's right.
Sometimes that ends up a week, a day, hour,
Yeah.
10 months,
That's
3
right.
years, 40. We don't know. So step 2 is helping us understand that we need God's help because we're practically insane
Yeah.
concerning drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Can we expound on this word insanity? Because I was always taught, and even if you look this word up in the dictionary, I do think it says what?
Doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think is a pretty good idea concerning certain things, but I think concerning alcohol and drugs, I think a better definition of insanity is just unwhole mind.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, because here's the truth. I look right here in front of me, Tiger Woods. I mean, that's his what, fifth major? His fifth master or fourth master? Fifth, I think. Well, he done won 3, 97, 97. I know he won in 2001, 2002. I think anyway, his fourth or fifth master.
Yeah.
Here's the truth about Tiger. He every day hit thousands of balls,
Yep.
expecting different results.
Yeah.
Right.
Is he insane? No, he's practicing.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
That's
right.
Right.
good.
So a better idea concerning alcoholism with the word insanity, I think, is unwhole mind.
Yeah.
Now, at certain times, we cannot see the
Yeah.
truth
Right.
with our relationship with drugs and
Right.
alcohol.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying is that whenever you are not drinking and using, the insane part is that I would ever believe that it's a good idea to do it again.
Yeah, and actually, I think the crazy part takes place sober, stone cold sober.
Right.
So my old sponsor would always say like this: I was sober before every first drink.
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like this. It's like considering that if I put my hand on a stove,
Yeah.
that I have the ability
Yeah.
next time to see the relationship that I would have with putting my hand on this stove.
That's right.
I'm never going to do it again.
Yeah.
No.
What's happened with us is we've burnt our mind to the point that where we get burned by drugs,
Yeah.
but we have the inability to bring into our mind with sufficient force
Yeah.
this next time that it won't burn me.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, that's sort of a good analogy to understand that there's areas of my life where my will is good enough to work to maintain or to not do something.
Yeah.
When it comes to alcoholism, I've worked my mind to a state to where I do not have that ability at certain times.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why it's a disease.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right? It's something that other people do not struggle with.
Yeah.
When it comes to drugs, alcohol, they make the choice not to snort cocaine
Yeah.
and they never do it again.
That's right.
That's right.
Not us.
Yeah.
Not at least not at certain times.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Right?
the tricky
That's the
part.
key.
Yeah.
Because you can go a couple years white knuckling it.
Play the tape through.
Play the tape
Yeah.
through.
Think-
but there's
think through the
coming a
tape.
day if you're the real deal addict that you're going to believe the lie.
That's right.
You're going to act on it. You're going to run into the truth that you can't
Yeah.
stop once you
That's
start.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that is the crux of the problem is
Mm-hmm.
that we just have a mind that does not have the ability to conquer alcoholism through pure willpower.
That's right.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is where the lack of power comes, which is where this idea is if I'm going to live a quality of life in the earth, I need God to restore me to sanity.
That's right.
Yep. That's right.
Really, so that's really the nutshell of 1 and 2. But let's just expound upon this word because we talked about conception.
Mhm.
And to fill you in, Stephen, because you wasn't here, we talked about just how a conception ain't creating your own God,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Conception is just starting with the idea you have of God.
Yeah.
That's right.
And probably ironing out that if some of the ideas I have towards God has been inflicted to me on people, experiences, whatever the case may be, that it's fair to say that if I'm going to seek God, that I've got to get rid of prejudice I have towards Him that hasn't been given to me by my seeking to find out who He is.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because people misrepresent Him.
Mm-hmm.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We misrepresent Him.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes we can't be the model
Yeah.
That's right.
of somebody's idea of God. Now, there are times where God uses us and we are a reflection of Him and we
Yeah.
help people see the love of God, but we're not perfect, so therefore we can't look to people to give
Yeah.
us an idea of who He is. We
Yeah.
got to really look to the big book and to the Word and to Him for Him to really help us iron out some of the filters we've picked up on the way about Him.
Yeah.
Right.
Would you agree?
I do. Yeah.
And so let's just expound upon this word prejudice. Because I do think that's one of the first exercises we get to do in step 2, because it's kind of hard to seek God when you have a potential wrong conception,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
right? When you have these filters that you view Him through that are not filters that are given to you by Him. It's given to you by people, by bad experiences. And so, it's kind of hard. It's like having somebody that has hurt me real bad, per se, And it's not that they've hurt me. It's just I've picked up the hate from a friend that they hurt. And so it's kind of hard to even have fellowship with that guy because I don't like him because my buddy don't like
I
him.
love that.
it.
That's the same analogy I always use. Me trying to form a relationship with God based on what my parents or my aunt or what I think I saw them have is the same thing as if I was going to form a relationship with Bradley based off of his first 3 girlfriends.
Yeah, for
It doesn't
sure.
make any sense at all. Yeah.
Well, I mean, leaving it to them, you would hate me.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. At some
Right.
point, I'm going to go. Oh, that's what she meant. As soon as you do that to me,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's but you can form that through it being my own experience. So now when I decide to make a decision concerning the situation or the person, now it ain't based on what you told me about them. Now it's based on my experience with them. So therefore, I know that I'm walking away or I'm engaging in this based on what is real and not what is
Yes.
fancied or, what has been picked up by other people's experience. Because, man, some people just don't like you for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And it ain't because you're bad people. It's because maybe they're the selfish one.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. All I'm saying is if we're going to rule out God is not real or he don't help people like us, then we have to rule it out based on my experience
Yeah.
Yes.
with doing everything I can to seek to know, to understand. And then at the end of the day, if he doesn't restore me to sanity, I could say he don't work.
That's
it
right.
don't work.
That's
That's
right.
it.
Yep.
But I can't be a poster boy for contempt prior to investigation
Yeah,
that's right.
and always live wondering
Yeah.
whether or not God could have restored me to sanity because I never sought to know and I justified that based on what other people told me about it.
That's right.
Well, dude, if you would have told me that a bag of meth or a bottle of vodka was going to do for me what it did the very first time I was able to keep it down or ingest it, I probably wouldn't have believed you.
Mm-hmm.
But I always use this analogy too, because I've never once thought I could sit next to you while you drank vodka and that I would expect to get any kind of result out of it. But
Yeah.
after I, actually sought, which I think most of my seeking took place as it pertained to drugs and alcohol before this, after I finally seek to find something, then like you're saying, then I can have my own experience.
You know
with it.
what's funny about what you just said is I never smoked weed by myself in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I never got hard
Yeah.
drugs in the beginning by myself. I had to find a way
good.
to get
Yeah.
it through a friend.
That's
Yeah.
good.
And so most people don't establish a relationship with God by themselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
They get influenced by a
Yep.
friend. They are willing to believe a friend does.
Yep.
But here's the cool thing about when you engage in that process, there comes a time where you never have to go through your friend again to
Yeah.
get it.
That's right.
That's it.
Yep.
In the beginning, I'm smoking weed socially. I'm getting my
Yep.
weed through my buddy. But then eventually, I like it so much that I'm actually trying to cut my buddy out to get to the source so I
Yep.
don't have to go through him no more so I
Yep.
can sit at home
That's
by
right.
myself and do it all by myself.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
the same thing with
Yeah.
your relationship with God.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In the beginning, you're going to need some help through other people
Yeah.
to get to him.
Yeah.
But there's going to come a day where it becomes so profound to you to where now you realize you have the ability to go to him at your home without your buddy.
Yep.
And you're going to start loving that more and more and more
That's
and
it.
more because of the fact that you're not living off of your friend's experience
That's right.
anymore. You've sought to get your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, that becomes a different world when you start to learn like this is the deal.
Yeah.
Like this is what I'm relying upon and
Yeah.
dependent upon. Like that's when things start getting real cool. Like you start
Yeah.
seeing some things you ain't never seen before.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But in the beginning, most people don't get to where we are without other people slinging the truth.
That's it.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Well, I
You know
don't-
what I'm saying?
Well, I don't think that you hunger and thirst for righteousness until you've had an experience with righteousness.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can't hunger and thirst for something that you've never had.
That's right.
You know, and so I
can't
think
crave it. Yeah.
you can't crave
Yeah,
something
that's
that
right.
you know what I mean. It
Yeah.
goes back to what we talk about with drugs and alcohol. I can't crave God until I've had an experience with Him.
That's right.
But once you know, when He asked me to work the steps, I was okay to do it because I was willing, but also was skeptical that why would I do this because I've already been sober for 4 or 5 months. Like what else could this offer me? And so until I had an experience through the working of the steps, a spiritual experience with God, then I didn't believe it worked. And that's a lot of what y'all are talking about. And it's a lot of what we explain when we're talking about our relationship with drugs and alcohol, that I don't care how much I teach or how much we preach or how much we try to explain to you until you drink it yourself, it ain't
That's
gonna
right.
matter.
That's right.
You know, and so in the society we live in, man, with social media and all these different connections, Like we feel like we can get bite-sized pieces of God and it fulfills us for the day. But until we have an experience with him ourselves through wanting to know him, wanting to know who he is and what he has for us and the good things. That's the thing about God, man, is his good things, man.
Yeah.
It's kindness and it's love and it's righteousness and it's all this stuff, man, that I always try to get from people. And here's the thing with me concerning God and concerning some of the stuff we're talking about. My idea or prejudice of God, and I want to read this definition. It's a preconceived opinion that is not based on reason or actual experience. And so here was my experience growing up. I went to a Pentecostal church. My granddaddy was one of the pastors there. They would, come down to the altar. They'd touch them. They'd fall down. They'd be speaking in tongues. The deacons would be covering up with blankets. And so my idea of God was that. Well, I didn't want to be down there getting knocked out and covered up with blankets.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so this is the conception or prejudice that I picked up about God, that if I have an experience with God, it's going to be like that. And I don't want to be like that. So then I guess I can't have an experience with God. That nullifies me being able to have that, man. And so whenever drugs and alcohol brought me to the end of myself and I had to start seeking this power on my own, because this is what step 2 qualifies and requires of me to do, I started to realize that wasn't God. That was just a manifestation of how God shows up in certain situations. That was a symptom of God, but that wasn't necessarily God.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's one of those things where there's no discipleship, then you're left to filter these things through the thinking that's got you needing God.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so you're just left to your own devices to try to figure out all this stuff that you're seeing.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? And so that's where I think Alcoholics Anonymous helped really save my life, is because it allowed me a man to walk with, to ask questions, so that I didn't form opinions based on experiences that were wrong.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just because it's experience I deem bad don't mean it's bad. It means
Yeah.
I filtered it through something going on in me,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to figure it out on my own wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know this is, it's difficult, I guess, to not be somewhat bold in what we do and working with new people. I always tend to think like the only thing I care less about when you get here than what you do believe in is what you don't believe in. Yeah. I mean, because the truth is, if we're objective, you probably don't end up in our chairs. I probably don't end up sitting across from another man if anything that I have really believed has been effective at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the big book doesn't ask us to lay aside all the bad prejudices and how we think God is distant and far off and not interested in all. It asks us to lay aside all of our prejudices.
Yeah.
And truthfully, if it's based on experience, like that definition you just read, if I had any kind of an adequate experience with God, by the time I get here, I'm probably not sitting across from another alcoholic asking him for help right now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's this idea of, regardless if it's bad or good, it ain't helping me stay sober.
That's right. Yeah.
And I need a clean canvas.
Yeah.
Because it's clear that I need a whole new experience
right.
with what I call God.
Daily.
Yeah.
Because the fact is, man, is if the thing that I call God, the thing that I love I call God, is it influencing my life?
Yes.
There's always a problem.
Yes.
I'm just saying,
Yes.
like I'm not saying there isn't seasons to where we don't feel God, right? That we don't hear God,
Yeah.
that we're, able to stay sober and continue to move forward. What I'm saying is that if I've always had outward expressions of what I've learned at church about God, but yet it never in a long period of time has ever helped me with my drinking, with my selfishness, my self-centeredness, it should always rear a question of, what am I missing?
Doing here.
Yeah, like dude, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to hang around places where the drugs ain't getting me high.
No,
Yeah.
man,
You know what I'm saying? I'm not
no.
trying to hang out and just, I'm trying to get the effect.
Yeah.
Well, there is an effect
Mm-hmm.
that comes through seeking God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joy, peace, right? Happiness at times, but joy,
Contentment.
peace, contentment, faithfulness, goodness, there are benefits that
Yeah.
come from this. And so people like us who get benefits from snorting cocaine, drinking
Yeah.
liquor, shooting methamphetamine are going to have to find something better than that.
That's right.
And so I love the fact that step 2 says, regardless up until this point, what you think you know about God, It's time to be able to get to a place where I can open my mind, set aside those things,
Yeah.
and let's seek to have a new experience.
Yes.
That's right.
Let's be willing to know that I could be right with some things, wrong with some things. But at the end of the day, regardless of what I'm right or wrong on, I'm sitting here with a terrifying drug habit that I've never been able to overcome based on what I think I know.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think at that juncture, anybody can say that regardless of what they know, there's something that they don't know that they're not doing that is not working.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think that step 2 on page 47, as we begin to get to this place to where we can open our mind and we can set aside all prejudice, however that looks, I don't know. It's not like I'm picking up a bucket and setting it aside.
Right, yeah.
It's something that just happens through the desperation of not wanting to drink and use.
That's right.
To where I
Yeah.
just become willing to just set aside these things. And I think that step 2 is brilliantly written on page 47 when it says, do I believe or am I now even willing to
believe.
believe
That's right.
Yep.
that there is a power greater
that's
than
right.
myself, right?
And
That's right.
Yes, dude.
And I think willingness is the key to freedom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think doing the work is the key to freedom. I think the willingness to do it is
Yes.
already going to set freedom in my life
Yes.
before I ever do it. I
Yes.
think that's why the 9th step says that we could be amazed before we're halfway through.
Yes.
Because it isn't the completion or a destination that brings me joy.
Yeah.
It's this idea that for the first time in my life, there's some things I'm willing to do differently. And
Yeah.
it's amazing how just that willingness can breathe a breath of fresh air
Yes.
into my soul.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember writing my 4-step and, hadn't had conversations with anybody. I mean, I hadn't even talked to you about the stuff that I'm writing down on the paper, and I feel something different happening. And it wasn't that I had completed anything, but it's that I had finally started something.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so the completion really, honestly, in my spirit, I think took place in step 3. And now I started to get to experience, like, I'm willing to write this stuff down about my dad. I'm willing to write this stuff down about these women, right? And like, it was like I was never willing to do that because I was always fearing the rejection
Yeah.
of what I was going to experience when I started that process, man. And so, I mean, you're dead on when you talk about that willingness being the thing that once you have it, but you have to be beaten into a state of reasonableness.
That's right. And
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to be able to, I was, you were, and everybody else that I feel like has any roots or grass, any soil in our program or even in a relationship with God has had to be beat into a state of reasonableness, man. And it don't necessarily have to be drugs and alcohol. I get phone calls all the time from people who don't struggle like we struggle, but they struggle.
It's just
That's right.
self-will.
It's just
Yeah.
self-will.
Yeah.
It shows up different in their lives, man. But
Well, there's a lot of things we've learned,
yes,
right? I love page 30. We learned that we had to fully concede.
yes,
There's 2 ways to learn.
yes.
That's right. That's where I was getting.
Pain
at.
and wisdom.
Yeah, that's it.
For
Yeah.
us, it seems like drinking liquor and doing drugs was the
Yes.
thing that beat us to a state of reasonableness.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're trying to bring the bottom to people that
Yes.
are a lot younger than us
Yes.
that hopes that our pain can be their wisdom
Yeah.
so they can learn through that carrying the message process.
Mm-hmm.
But we're 3 people that learn that we had to fully concede our innermost self one way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Drinking as much liquor, doing as much fentanyl and drugs as
Yes.
we possibly can
Yes.
That's
to
right.
the point where we had really no other choice other than death, jails,
Institutions.
or accept spiritual
Yeah.
help.
Yep.
And that just became the foundation we built our life on because I'm going to tell you right now, and this is a cliche and I've never really said it, but it makes sense that until God is all we need,
Yeah.
or I don't even know how
Well,
you say
until
it.
God is everything.
Yeah.
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 He's nothing.
Well, think about step 2. Also, Bill Wilson says something very bold in We Agnostics. And I think it's this idea in step 2 and 3 to where God either is or he isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's a place I feel like you might have to get to before you get ready
Yeah.
to go into
Yep.
4.
Yeah.
And God either is or he isn't is really based on your conception.
Yeah.
And the book says no matter how limited it is, it's the thing that you can that you can start to build this
That's right.
archway
To freedom.
to where you pass a free man.
Yeah.
And so why don't we just let's expound upon this page 47 where it says, you do you believe or are you now even willing to believe that power greater yourself can restore your sanity? So let me let me add something, and then let's talk about that step being called a cornerstone.
Okay.
So I don't know if it is just the way Bill Wilson was and the people who wrote the book, but really when you read it and study it, you see they're painting a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's building. Yeah.
Yeah, and the picture is he's using each step as a stone being put in place
Yes.
of like building a foundation, a cornerstone, a keystone, and this archway that
Yeah.
has a door that you got to unlock, that when you pass through it,
Yeah.
you walk into this realm of the spirit,
Yeah.
and you get to explore this through steps 10, 11, and
Yes.
12.
Yes.
Page in chapter 7, on page like 97 at the top, it says that helping others is the foundation stone of our recovery. Well, that's for a man that's helping others that
Yes.
realizes that.
Yes.
Bill Wilson says on page 12, when he talks about Ebby Thatcher carrying the message to him, he talks about willingness was built on this idea that I could choose my own conception of God.
Yeah.
Right.
So really, in the beginning, the foundation is not helping others. The foundation is willingness.
Yeah. That's right.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's willingness.
Yes.
And so when I become willing, I don't know this, but when I become willing to seek God to restore me to sanity, I'm laying a foundation.
Yes.
That's right.
And so what happened? So you start to learn step 1 and 2 is this foundation and this cornerstone that are being put on place that is solid rock.
Yes.
Yeah.
That you can build upon it
Yes.
to walk through it a free man. And so step 2, could you turn to page 47? Did you find it in that?
Yeah. I got it. Yeah.
Could you keep reading that after that? Because he goes on to talk about a wonderful effective spiritual
Yeah.
structure can be built. Can you read that?
Yeah. You want me to read the whole short
Yes,
paragraph?
sir.
When we needed to ask ourselves but one short question: do I now believe, or am I even willing to believe that there is a power greater than myself? As soon as a man can say that he does believe or is willing to believe, we emphatically assure him that he is on his way. It has been repeatedly proven among us that upon this simple cornerstone, a wonderfully effective spiritual structure can be built.
Yeah.
So read it again for me. I love that.
As
Just read
soon
it.
as a man can say that he does believe or is willing to believe, we emphatically assure him that he is on his way.
What is the idea I'm believing? God can restore me to sanity.
Yeah. He better be or I'm dead.
Yeah.
That's about as far as my way.
But let's think about this. As soon as a man says that he can believe or is willing to believe that he can go to heaven, this ain't what it's talking about.
No.
We just did a whole episode concerning the reason we need Jesus concerning heaven.
Yep.
Right? It's not in this book, but as a Christian, we believe that Jesus first forgives us of sins,
Yeah.
removes the penalty so that I could be right with God,
Yeah.
right? But Bill Wilson ain't talking about a man I feel that needs to be right with God. He's talking about a man that needs heaven on earth now, because even if you're going to heaven, what you going to do for the next 50 years while you're in the earth?
Live in hell. Yeah.
Right, and this is why I think you have a sponsor, and we expect a book to expound upon a bunch of different things when it don't necessarily need to do that, because it's not the objective of what it was created for.
That's right.
Good. Yeah.
That's right.
The book's created, yes, to enable a man to form a relationship with God.
Yeah.
But it's more spent towards talking about how to free the soul.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's really talking about what now do I do? I've been in church, because a lot of those people, Oxford, all these people are got this prejudice of God because they've been in organized religion,
Yeah.
and they've done the things that organized religion does,
Yeah.
but they're slaves to alcohol.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not that they're not expounding upon things they deem unimportant.
Yeah.
It's that their life experience is being put on display of something they found that they never could
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
through doing the repetitions that they learned in church.
Right.
So they take the time to write a book that teaches you now that salvation, like Paul says, is the power of God to those who are being saved. How do I allow this relationship with God now to affect my life?
Yeah.
Affect my experience
Yeah.
in my home,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in my occupations, and all my other
Yeah.
affairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me say this real quick. This is a bit of a stretch, but there's this line in the book, and you probably know where I'm talking about, where Bill says most of us feel we have found much of utopia here. We need look no further for it. And I think that's what you're saying, is that they found through this process a piece of heaven, like as you always say, a down payment of heaven here on earth, not something I have to wait for till later. But it's funny because the Oxford groups have been rejected by the Catholic Church. And, you know, Catholic Church tells you where you can go, what you can be a member of. And this is part of what they do. And most people listen to them if you want to remain a Catholic. But Bill had submitted this to his friend who was on an archdiocese in the Catholic Church because they didn't want AA to be rejected by, and that's where you get this view on the religious in the back of the book. And they talk about, you know, essentially they are in favor of it. They said you'll find nothing in here that's a trouble. But when they gave him back his copy after they all read it, they said we want you to change one word because we can't. It used to say heaven. Most of us feel we have found much of heaven here, and they said we can't have you telling people that because we're trying to sell people on an idea of heaven later.
Yeah.
We don't want them to find out they can have it now.
Yeah.
But Jesus said it was at hand. It's here. It's
Yeah.
present. It's within you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good, dude. Yeah.
Which just helps me understand, man, a lot of the things that we've been taught are not necessarily wrong. They're just not in context or thoroughly given to us in a picture that we can understand or rightfully divide the word of truth so that we could know. Because, you know, the word salvation is used many times in the Bible, but if you didn't know in the Hebrew that it's also concerning three different things, that you don't read salvation at one place that's talking about heaven. A lot of times you read it that's talking about the earth.
That's right.
And sometimes it's not concerning the earth or eternal life. It's just talking about a glorified body that we get when we see
That's right.
Jesus face to face. And so
It's prejudice.
that's what it is. And we all have to continue to remember that God hadn't told us everything
That's
yet.
right.
That's right.
And that there's always room to learn, unlearn. Things we think we know, as you grow, you will learn you didn't fully know.
Yeah.
And that you wish never seen the light of day.
Yeah.
Because your conception evolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that if I can continue to remain humble enough to at times admit I'm wrong or what I think I know isn't producing what I'm doing in my life, and there's a disconnect between me talking and me walking, I can make progress.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just love the fact that for us, alcohol and drugs was the great persuader.
That's
Yes.
right.
And it really helped us at this spot to where we came to another problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a problem, allergy, mental obsession. I'm going to drink till I die, and
Yep.
I'm not going to be able to not start on willpower.
Yep.
I need God's help. Well, we simplified that to help a man that if we can work an idea, that's really what he's
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
If you can find a way to have the right idea, and then we get to step 3,
Yeah.
we make a decision on that idea and
Yep.
take action in 4, 5, 6, 7,
Yep.
8, 9, we'll find that this idea we have can change our life.
Yes.
If we work it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where you get this thing, it works if it works.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you work it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But the main thing I think in building this archway is laying a foundation of
Yes.
willingness
Yes.
and beginning the journey,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And nothing really changes just with these understandings of statement 1 and 2. Really, the work begins when we make a decision and start writing a 4-step.
That's right.
Which we're going to get more into.
Mm-hmm.
But I think many people, not just addicts and alcoholics, many people even listen to this have probably taken step 1, 2 in their life
Yeah.
and wondering why it ain't changed.
Yep.
Yep.
Because look, dude, is not saying the sinner's prayer at the end of church really just step 1 and 2 if I don't take action?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
You know how many times I went and confessed all this sin I've been doing? I asked God to save me. I don't want to go to hell. But I never knew how to follow that with a decision and action. So therefore, I wondered why it didn't change my life.
Yeah.
Right.
So really, I had an understanding I needed God,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Because I'm powerless. And at the time, it was because of sin. And I asked him to come in my heart. But then I didn't get up and do nothing different.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't know what to do.
Right.
And so therefore, nothing ever really changed in my life experience.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that people hasn't took that course of action concerning the forgiveness of sins, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I have many different views on can you be saved from the penalty of sin and never change and it be real?
Yeah.
These are things we all wrestle with.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I do feel like when you have an encounter with God in a step 3, when you have good discipleship, you are able to follow that up with action
Yep.
that can recreate the way that you think and feel. 'Cause
Right.
that's where your mental makeup
That's right.
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we got to understand that God wants to change our life from the inside out. He's
right.
not really concerned with getting rid of all the behavior.
Yeah.
He's really concerned with even using our behavior to get us in
That's right.
trouble
That's
That's
right.
right.
so
Yeah.
that we will do a searching and fearless moral inventory
right.
to find out where it starts. And for me, it's wrong thinking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wrong thinking, wrong
Yeah.
feelings, wrong actions.
And the only way I can change that thinking is to be reborn, which has got me connected to God now to where He can inspire my thinking
Yeah.
to where I can act on it and buy new thoughts
Yeah.
and transform my mind. But that takes action.
It does.
You're not
Yeah.
thinking your way into recovery.
That's right.
You're going to have to live your way into new thinking, which means most of the time you're going to have to do what you don't want to do, like, or understand.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's what faith is, man. Faith is a course of action, and it's not a feeling. It's not a feeling. It's a function of the mind that shows up in the feet. And for many seasons, you're going to have to learn to decide to act on truth when feelings and faith
Divorce.
are divorced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's many seasons living by faith ain't got it. It ain't coming with a good feeling.
Nope.
Sometimes it's plagued with doubt
Yep.
and fear.
Yep.
You know, but fear don't have that power on me no more because it ain't creating no action.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
fear that paralyzes us is the fear that creates no decision.
That's right.
Yeah.
When we get equipped with this line of work in this course of action, we're able to outgrow fear because we know how to live with the emotion, but yet use our mind to decide on something that's greater than the fear that'll eventually allow me to outgrow it.
Yeah.
That's how you grow up emotionally.
right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's the cool thing about this journey is that Steph went into her statements of the problem and the
Yeah.
solution, but we need to get into the work.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right? We need to make a decision, which next episode we'll talk about, which is probably several episodes in and of itself.
Yeah.
But now, once we come to this understanding that the problem is lack of power and the solution is power,
Yeah.
right? Well, now we got to make a decision,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And we've got to make a decision. Well, matter of fact, it says made a decision to turn our will and life over to the care of God
Yeah.
as we understood Him.
Yep.
So now we're going to have to enter this journey of faith, of trusting and relying upon
Yep.
God.
Well, man, I just think also just for the listener that maybe like me, I think it's important that we just reiterate. I know we touched on it, but that none of us are coming off of any kind of an idea that this was like a great idea that somebody sold us on. You know, I'm just really, really grateful. Oftentimes in prayer, I'm grateful for everything that God saw fit to let me do in self-will and go as far as I can with every gift I ever had, with every dime I ever had, every relationship, everything that was ever given to me, I used to try to make myself feel as good as possible.
Yeah.
And the end result is I'm sort of contemplating suicide. I'm checking back into a rehab, and I found nothing works to do that anymore. And so it really, as we said, alcohol being was the only thing that gave me ears to hear this kind of thing. So I think as it sums it up on page 44, you know, if you find that when drinking, you know, you cannot control the amount you take, you know, and you find that when you honestly want to stop, you can't stop.
entirely.
In other words, once I start, I can't stop, and I cannot stop starting.
Yeah.
You know, then that's the first thing that I can come to intellectually in agreement with and say, I don't see a way out of that. So this God thing had better work, you know, and I don't think it's going to work. I don't know this going to work. I actually love the fact that I didn't think it was going to work at all, but I had just been beaten and flattened and smashed so much that I'm willing to do whatever because nothing else is working.
Yeah.
But from then on, it becomes this continually uncovering and discovering of other fixed ideas in my life, you know, that I swear are working, but they're the same thing. Oh, well, it works to be dishonest and manipulative sometimes, you know, but I'm always pointing at the times it did work, and I'm forgetting the times it blew slam up in my face.
Yeah.
So it becomes this control thing, the same question, like, does it sometimes work to be dishonest? Heck yeah. Like, get everything I want and look like I was being generous somehow. That works really good, like 3 out of 10 times.
Isn't he
But
really
I'm-
a self-seeker
right.
when trying to be
yeah,
God?
but doesn't it also blow up in your face sometimes? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know which one is which? No. Okay, so therefore does it work? No, it doesn't,
I
right?
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we can conclude this episode with something that they write on page 44 right after this that I think is when I read it, I think it's sort of just not arrogant, but I think there's a spiteful implication behind it. Because he does go into this, he's going into we agnostics, right? For the people that claim to be atheist agnostic, right? That are having a hard time with this idea that I need God, right?
Yeah.
But he says, like, I'm going to read what Stephen wrote. If when you honestly want to, you find you cannot quit entirely, or if when drinking, you have little control of the amount you take, you're probably alcoholic, right? But listen to how he ends this sentence. If that be the case, you may be suffering from an illness which only a spiritual experience will conquer. Like, that is a pretty bold statement starting off we agnostics with.
Yeah.
I figured you'd lead me into this thing, but that's a little one of those statements to where you may be suffering from an illness which only a spiritual, like, it's time to clear the mechanism, find some willingness and open-mindedness, and it's time to get busy living. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Well, I don't believe in spiritual experiences. Next, you know, like,
That's it.
Can I be honest, man? I want to be honest about something. This is the truth. I've been honest about this, but I'm gonna be honest about this in a way that I think most people would never really understand. You would deem most people skipping chapter 4 because they don't want nothing to do with God.
right.
You know why I didn't read it?
You didn't think you were agnostic?
No, I didn't read chapter 4 because I knew everything there was supposed to be about God.
Ah, that's what I meant. Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Truthfully, I didn't read it because I thought I already knew God.
Yeah.
It was months into my recovery where I thought I might need to read this chapter.
Yeah.
Yep.
And dude, it may be one of the best chapters in
It
the book.
is, man.
And the way that they intellectually break down they just break down this relationship with God and practicality with these analogies that slap you in the face, no matter how much you know about Scripture.
Yep.
It just makes you realize just how much you don't depend upon God.
Yeah, that's right. How much faith are you putting in the ideas of friendship or the ideas of love or the ideas of, I always use this, bros before hoes. Y'all think that's a mere code of morals that we all think.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
like, I'm sure all the women out there know that that's not a real thing.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't like, you know, but we swear by it and we get mad about it. I can't believe you did that. And you know, all that stuff we put our faith in, we worship, we prop up as some ideal to live up to. Yet we find not only does nobody else live up to it, but we can't either. And then we just go about getting mad that nobody's living up to it. It's beautiful the way they did it.
So the funny thing about step 2 is we spent a lot of time talking about prejudice concerning God for those that don't want nothing to do with him. But it equally is for people who think they know everything about God and got that in the saddle.
Yep, that's right.
Prejudice, like you said, ain't just, I don't want nothing to do with God. He's wrathful. He's mean. He don't want to save me. It's for those who have already got that down pat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing too, man. This popped into my mind just now. I don't know if it's gonna rattle some cages.
Let's go.
If you know, if I claim to know everything about God, then I shouldn't be sinning anymore, right? Like if I claim
That's
to know
what
everything, I mean that's essentially what I'm saying. Like if I know everything about God, I know everything about righteousness,
Right.
which means everything I do should be right. Right? That's what righteousness is. Rightness with God. Rightness concerning what God thinks about life, people. Like it's the rightness. And so if I know everything about there is to know about God, my ego is driving this relationship, then there is no sin that I should be producing in my life anymore. But then Paul starts to combat that idea in Romans chapter 3, and he says that can't be the case because there is no righteousness apart from God.
That's right.
And the truth is that all of us fall short because we've all sinned, and there's literally nobody that has not ever not sinned.
Right.
And so that puts us all in the same basket, which means that I have to gain an attribute that I don't have, which is what step 2 started to allow me to do, was gain this idea that there's an attribute I don't have that God has that only he can give me.
That's right.
And that attribute is power.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's something that only God could give me, man. And so, you know, I did do a lot of things good. For those people out there that are like, man, like I hear what some of y'all are saying, but like it ain't really that bad for me. Well, I did a lot of things good. I made a lot of money. I did a lot of stuff. But the truth is that there was a couple things in my life that I did really poorly and that I lost control over. And it bled into everything that was good in my life, which was my marriage, my kids, my friendships, my relationships. And that thing brought me to the end of myself. And I don't see this book helping anybody, or I don't see Christianity helping anybody that doesn't find themselves at the end of themselves, which is saying, I don't have power.
Yeah,
That's
for
right,
sure.
dude.
So here's a question. I'm thinking this might go what we're talking about, but if it don't, I don't really care. How many sins do you have to commit to be a sinner?
This is good, dude.
Because I really think this is going to help us understand step 2 concerning
Yes.
prejudice
Yeah.
of weighing good and bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like so many people think Christianity is for people that need to get good.
Uh-huh.
I'm already, you know,
Yeah.
because I ask people all the time, what is it that separates a Christian from a non-believer? And a lot of people think that it's because we're more moral,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I go to church and I don't cuss and I give every week, but that's
religion.
not.
That's
Religion.
not.
That's not the thing that separates the Christian from the non-believer. The thing that separates the Christian from the non-believer is that the Christian is born of God,
Yeah.
and the non-believer isn't.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's it.
And that all comes through this recollection. Is that a good word to use there?
Depends on what you're about to say.
After I say it,
Yeah,
let me know.
Okay.
It doesn't take any sins that you commit to become a sinner.
Tell
That's
them.
right.
Bro,
Zero.
Right, a lot
talk
of people
about
say,
it.
when I say, how many sins does it take for you to become a sinner? A lot of people say 1,
Yep.
which
Tell
means
'em.
that you're a sinner because you sin.
That's right.
Right? And how many people can justify not being a sinner or
As
or
bad.
bad
Yeah.
because of how many things I get right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so we got to smash that
Yeah.
lie so people can understand
Yes.
that there is no sins that you got to commit to be a sinner because you were born a sinner.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
And you don't sin, but I mean, you don't become a sinner because you sin. You sin because you're a sinner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so the idea is we all need God.
Yeah.
We're actually targeting addicts and alcoholics, which seem to be the easiest people to help
Yeah.
that have the less understanding about God,
That's
that
right,
do the
dude.
best
God,
in what
yeah.
we
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
because it's clear they're morally not good.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Christian,
Yeah.
you are the hardest person I've ever tried to help.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm dead serious.
Yeah, oh,
and
I know.
Paul
Yeah.
writes a gospel to the Christian in
Yeah.
Romans chapter 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Yep.
And it's amazing how people who do not come from the depths we do, that have good looking flesh, that get to this place to where they
Yep.
think Christianity is about not sinning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the big book shatters that when it talks about the fact that we are all actors trying
Yeah.
to rearrange the show.
Yep.
Sir, you need to look inside yourself.
Yeah.
Well, that's like saying AA is about not drinking.
Yeah,
It's the same
dude.
thing.
But I'm just saying, man,
Yep.
stop selling yourself short as a Christian because you've entered the door.
Yeah.
Or as an AAer because you entered the door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, like you
Yeah.
here's how step 3 says. There may be a great effect that comes at once.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a beginning.
Yeah.
I don't want to be at the door 10 years later justifying my temper,
Yeah.
my selfishness, the things that I'm doing that's breaking relationships and
That's good.
using God to justify it.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Right? I want to enter the realm of the spirit, and I want my next function to be that I grow in understanding and effectiveness.
Yeah,
that's right.
So that I could be of maximum service to God and people. I'm tired of hurting people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I'm tired of being justified in my selfishness and hurt people, and I be so intoxicated with arrogance I can't see the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm really just feeling this thing right now that we need some people that are more self-aware and are willing to let God change their character more than you were. You know, you need to talk to God more than you talk about him.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's it.
You know, and I'm talking to myself.
That's
man.
right. Yeah.
Like this God thing has got to do something in me.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't love people well if he don't do something in me.
That's right.
Yes,
I
sir.
can love people through flesh.
Yeah.
Right? And I can forgive people through flesh, but I want to be free.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't want to play church and do all these things.
dude.
Like, dude, I want to be free.
Yeah.
I want to leave church and be free.
Yeah.
I want to go home and spend time with my family and be free.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be letting people rent space in my mind for weeks because they're doing this or I can't control this and what they do makes me like, I want to be free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if this God thing don't free me, then I need to go try something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it ain't freed you, the truth is you ain't tried it.
Yeah.
Because we have never seen anybody fail this process
Yes.
that have thoroughly tried it.
Yep.
You know, so
it, man.
I just think we need to get to a place to where we're able to say, God, I don't know everything about you.
Yeah.
I'm willing to admit that there's some things inconsistent in my life than with what I preach every
Yeah.
week.
Yep.
And I need some ability
Yes.
to get to a place where I can get with a man and find a way to get a little bit of progress in my life to
Yeah.
get what I preach and what I do a little bit closer
That's
to each
it,
other,
man.
right?
I mean, that's
Yes.
what we're promised, man. Life
Yeah.
and life more abundantly,
Yeah.
man. It can't be this whole, like, the whole world's going to hell thing.
Yeah.
Mine's not.
Nah.
Mine
mine's
is
not
getting
either.
better and better
Yep.
every
Nah,
day,
dude,
man.
like Jesus said, and you said it earlier, Ephesians, the Holy Spirit is a down payment
Yep.
of my full inheritance
Yep.
one day.
Yep.
But dude, you get the Holy Ghost peace, power, and righteousness.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Righteousness being character, peace guarding your mind.
Yep.
Like power, you were recovered and been given the power
Yes.
to help others, bro.
Yes.
Like, dude, that is the deal.
Yeah.
You know, religion is not going to change you or the people around you. It's just going to create rebellion.
Yep.
You know, we need the Spirit of God to take residency of our soul, build our character, help us to grow mentally and emotionally so that we can be of service. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that we can have, I don't know, dude. I hope that I'm transmitting what
You
I'm
are.
trying
yeah.
to say.
Let's go.
You
But
are.
like, we can't just dumb this down as this is an avenue to heaven. It's not ever been an avenue to heaven.
Yeah.
It's been an avenue to God.
Yeah.
That's right.
God is the treasure.
Yeah.
You want to get to heaven and not like God, you're not going to like heaven that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
it, man.
Like, I want to fall in love with God.
Yeah.
I want to know the intent of God for me.
That's
Because
right.
He's my daddy.
Yeah.
He created me. He's got an intent in His heart for my life that gives me purpose. And if I don't know that, then I don't have purpose.
Nope.
That's
And
right.
so I get we do expressions, church, ministries, live events, podcasts. I love all that. But if I miss the intent of my Father's heart for my life, that actually is the thing that gives me a heartbeat when the lights are off
Yeah.
and I'm working a mundane job and I hate it. Like, God will give me peace in those places to be to do ministry to people that never get put on
That's right.
on podcasts
Yeah.
that give me a purpose.
Yes.
This is not the end result.
That's
I'm not
right.
trying to get to
That's
the
right, dude.
podcast.
Come on.
I'm not
Yep.
trying. Like, dude, you can start as many ministries if you want. If you and God are not walking day and day in hand fellowship, and He's not able to expose your sin, and you're not able to repent from it and grow, like, you're gonna be a miserable minister.
Yeah.
And your ministry is going to
Yes.
change every year in different locations
Yeah.
because you keep getting into it, but your character keeps getting you kicked out of it because
Yeah.
you ain't content.
Yeah.
That's right. That's good, man.
Like, dude, you take this podcast away, us three, we gonna create ministry wherever we
Yeah,
go.
that's right,
Gas
dude.
station, the
Yeah.
mall,
That's right, dude.
at my home. Like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
we do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love doing this. Yes, we hope it reaches somebody, but we don't need this.
No.
I don't need
No.
it. I mean, this is fun, but my life ain't gonna change because I don't have a podcast.
That's right.
But matter of fact, you only get here because you weren't aiming at it. That's
Yeah.
really what. That's
You know
how
what I'm
that,
saying?
that's
Well,
the
they've
deal,
always
dude. I
told
mean,
me that when you seek acceptance, you never get it.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's the moment when you don't seek it that
Yeah.
you get it and then
Yeah.
realize you never needed it
Yeah.
from people.
Yep. That's right, dude. Yeah. So good, man.
Acceptance is the deeper things of God.
Yes.
Acceptance don't come from people.
Yes.
It comes through your fellowship with God.
Yeah.
And over time, you will find acceptance in the spiritual realm, and you will see less and less of
Yes.
your emotions being told by what other people do.
Yes.
That's right.
And that's, in
That's
the beginning,
free.
it
Good
ain't-
news.
but that
That's
takes
good
time.
news.
It takes time, but it's not unattainable.
Nah.
Right.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? There was a time years ago where I worried about people think when I got done preaching, did I say the right things? Did they like it? Now, I don't even think about it. You know what? I can analyze it. Yes, I could have done that better.
Yeah.
Yes, I might not have needed to say that.
Yeah.
But I'm not spending hours in fear of
Right.
what they think
Yeah.
about it.
Right.
Because I have over time found that God can only give me those deep things.
That's right,
Yeah.
man.
And as you stay course and keep putting, what they say, do the next right thing.
Yep.
Bro, These are the things that you start to experience
Yes.
that make you effective.
That's right.
And without these type of attributes, ministry will chew you up and swallow you
Yep.
and spit you out.
Won't do it long,
because
man.
people are fickle.
Yep.
They will think you are a God one minute,
Yep.
and then they'll call you a devil the
Yep.
next minute.
That's right.
You cannot depend upon people to meet your spiritual needs and emotional needs.
Yep.
They will freaking reject you every time.
Yep.
You've got to not miss the fact that you need proximity to the Father, devotion to the Father, and you need to rely upon Him to meet these needs.
And he will.
And He will.
Yeah.
And then He will give you an opportunity to minister.
Yeah.
And you can love people when you're
Yeah.
not really dictated by what they think about
That's
you.
right.
You know?
Yeah,
But anyway, I mean, wow. Step 2. Came to believe.
Yeah.
Power grid in herself. Stories of Sandy. Till next time.
Peace.
Cheers.